Greetings gamers everywhere, I'm Swip92 and we're here with another build for Soulstone survivors. If I sound tired, it's because I'm getting tired of going through the Void King cutscenes every time I do these builds. Oh, and this is not counting all the times I've failed doing a build for different characters and classes and all that. So yeah, going through all the cutscenes, it's getting tiresome, honestly. Although I do find the game still enjoyable, so I'm not gonna dwell on it. And yes, before someone gets to it in the comments, I know that the text on the thumbnail says this is poison, based on the This is Sparta from the movie 300, which is about Spartan, and Legionnaires are not Spartans, they're Romans, but close enough, close enough. I don't think Metatron would be agreeing with me, but anyway, this is a poison build for the Legionnaire, and it's quite effective. Now, let's go over the rules first, because that's just the basic reroll mastery, and weapon expert, and I used arduous training for the third one. This one can of course be changed if you need materials instead of XP for your character. Although I wanted to get to 170 with the Legionnaire, so I went with that. After that I chose Death Touch, which causes an enemy has 20% chance to explode, causing damage and applying poison in an area. And as your Purging Slam deals damage based on poison, I wanted to increase my poison distribution, basically. After that we have Focus Fire, which deals extra damage, or increases your damage by 30%, but decreases the area of all your skills by 15%, which is easily countered by just increasing the area of your abilities. Swift Execution, which adds 50% of your movement speed to your critical damage, which is pretty great because movement speed is nice. And then we have Savage Pact, which increases critical damage based on your maximum health up to a maximum of 40%. The problem with this one is that I have no idea how it stacks. Is it a 1-to-1 ratio, which means one maximum health equals 1% critical damage, or is it 0.5 to 1, so that 2 maximum health increase is 1% critical damage? I don't know. I didn't look at that, but as it has a maximum roof of 40%, while the movement speed rune doesn't have a roof, I mean, that's pretty weird, I think. Because with the movement speed I have at 285% plus, I gain 142.5, if you're gonna be very pedantic about it, increased percent damage, critical damage. So yeah, that's quite a lot of critical damage, extra critical damage days. And I wonder if as the movement speed tab, or primary movement speed thing there, it says how much extra movement speed I have, but that doesn't take into account the Bloodlust buff that I'm using as well, because that one increases my movement speed as well. So with that going on at the same time, I should have even more critical damage, if I'm thinking correctly here, that is. Now let's get into the build a little bit more here. As you can see, the match time was 26 minutes, which is kind of a long, yes, I know. This build went through some different iterations throughout the journey, you could say. Actually, I started out with Combustion, as you can see here in the gameplay, because One of the main abilities that you will want is the passive bonus of applying poison with all your attacks and increasing, and not all, every time you get it you should increase it, but every time you pick that passive you increase the damage that the poison does. And that is very, very, very important, because Purging Slam, your main ability, or your main damage ability, deals damage. Well, let's say this. It slams a shield in a target direction, causing damage in all remaining poison stacks in the area to deal a percentage of the damage instantly, removing the effects in the process. So you want a lot of poison abilities that can apply poison quickly, and you'll want them each stacked to deal a large amount of damage. So yeah, increasing the damage of your poison that your poison deals is very important. Now, as all my abilities apply poison with that passive, that is, or rather have a chance to apply poison, I thought Combustion has a big area. It applies debuff and damage every 0.5 seconds. I think that sounds very nice. Why not use that to apply poison to all the enemies inside the screen at the same time? Well, it didn't look like it applied that much of poison stacks when I tried it, so I ended up removing that one. I ended up using Acid Rain, Pestilence, and Poison Cloud. Poison Cloud mainly for the weakness that it also applies, which I think is a great way of actually, yeah, just dealing extra damage. I mean, believe weakness would apply to the percent damage that the shield will do, because I don't see why not. Because weakness basically does so that the enemy, for each stack of weakness, you deal more damage to them. So imagine that your shield break, or purging slam, sorry. I imagine that your purging slam would deal a lot more damage if the enemy had a bunch of weakness stacks on them. I don't see why it wouldn't. I also don't see why it wouldn't do critical damage, so I increased my critical damage, critical chance. But another important factor is, of course, also area, because you want that Purging Slam to deal damage in a large area. Same with your Poison Cloud, your Acid Rain, and probably the Catapult that your passive is tied to your weapon if you have upgraded it, that is. So you want poison in a large area, and you'll want it to be applied quickly. So yeah, I mean, area modifier, multicast chance, cast frequency, just all good. And this goes for basically every ability. Just be sure that when you've gotten them to a low, like a 1 second cooldown or 1.5 second cooldown, just leave them be. Don't take any more cast frequency on that specific weapon, because it's not worth, not weapon, but ability, on that ability. I mean, it's not worth using a level up skill or level up, shall we say, skill point to actually apply something that will do a minimum amount of upgrade. I mean, if you're casting your corrosive spear every 1.5 second, I don't think you're gonna need to apply it any more than that, honestly, because you also have 3 other abilities that's just gonna apply poison all the time. Now, to be fair, having a low cooldown on Purging Slam is very good, because you'll want it to deal some damage. You want to deal damage before the enemy can deal damage to you. Now, of course, the shorter the cooldown on it, well, the more often it's gonna remove those poison stacks that are on the enemy. I would say it's a fair trade, though. Of course, you can just try to not take cost frequency on Purging Slam, but you'll not deal damage as often. You might deal more damage when Purging Slam does deal damage. These abilities and runes are not set in stone. The only thing set in stone, I guess, would be Purging Slam, but experiment with different poison abilities might be a good way. I mean, keeping Poison Cloud might be fairly good because that one dealt a lot of damage in the end, but that's also because it covered a big area. Same with Acid Rain. Both of those covered a big area. Now, Pestilence also deals damage based on poison, or poison stacks. Although I never increased the damage on that one. I never increased the damage, only cast frequency and area, I believe. As for what area does with that Pestilence, I would think that it increases the area that it can spread. So it can spread to enemies that are further away if you increase the area of it. I don't know. Although I don't see anything else that the area could do. Now, anything else that I should mention? Nah, I'm good. Oh, I might want to touch on the Ascendancy though. The Ascendancy of the Legionnaire, I believe, is changed from before. I'm not sure. I played very little Legionnaire because I never found a build that I really liked. So I don't know if they might have changed, maybe not. Anyway, the Ascendancy, basically you run around and you revive or inspire Legionnaires that are lying on the ground. Save the sixth one, or the last one basically, for when you need it. Pick the 5 and then choose the sixth one when you need it. For example, I picked the sixth one just before fighting the Void King on his last phase. So without that, the last phase would have taken a little bit longer as you gain additional damage and armor with that Ascendancy. So to be fair, it's not as game-breaking as it might look, although you can see me picking up the last one there. Anyway, I think it's a good idea to save the last one for when you need it. So for Void King or whenever you need to kill maybe 4 or 5 Lords of the Void. So yeah, save it for that. Might be, if not life-saving, at least time-saving, you know? Anyway, I've been Swipin92, have a great life, and I hope to see you in future videos. Bye bye.